Right, we're back with a bit more Pioneer here. So I was trying to record Explorer, but I'm having issues with Arena. I don't know what it is, but occasionally for some reason, it must be something to do with my computer. Whenever they do certain updates on Arena, it constantly crashes the driver, blue screen of deaths. My PC, even if I'm not doing anything else, even if I'm not recording, if I'm just playing Arena, I can barely get through a match sometimes, so it just becomes unplayable. So what I'm going to do here is just show a few minor modifications I've made to the MTGO Pioneer deck, and I'll then go through some of the pre-recorded test games I've been doing just for some content for this day. So here is our NIV list. Now the first thing you'll notice is that the sideboard has significantly changed because we've got the voices out here now. We'll come to that in a moment. So starting with colours, we move our Valky to its true place on Izzet. We have our main star of the show here is Hero Precinct 1. Now Hero will often need to turn 2 removal if you run it out on turn 2, but there are ways to buy it back, and it's always good to have in a late game if you can spew out 2 spells. We're running 2 Azorius Charms main board because I've just been running into Naya Winota a lot and Grease Fang combo, so literally just bouncing like an early aggressor if they do it. For example, if they swing with their Mana Dork, bouncing it back on top of the deck can slow them down. Other than that, it's just draw a card. And you got to remember, a lot of these all these spells have, with the potential of Hero being on the field, whatever they do plus make a 1/1 human. Pretty solid is good. So we got 3 Vanishing Verses here. I'm thinking of going up to 4 actually. I'll see if we update later. I do have the 4th one in the sideboard as potential. We have Tyrant Scorn. This is to a solid removal as well. It might be something we might go up in. Basically, one thing to always note about this, and I say this every time I tech on this, is the bouncing a creature to its owner's hand can also be done on your stuff. So I've done it before on the Hero to save it from removal, leave a blocker. I've bounced the Niv to rebuy it, to blank removal and reuse it. So Tyrant Scorn I think is a very solid spell that should be considered. Do Izzet Charms as a bit of a catch-all to counter / destroy, kill something loot. I think it's one of the best charms, so it sticks in here now. There is an argument for Expressive Iteration being better in terms of card value because it technically goes up 2, but with the current build of Pioneer being so heavy in creatures and aggro, it's just better I think to have a potential shock / catch-all for spell counters. And then we have 2 Colligan's Command. Basically, this is eternally relevant in this deck because it can obviously get back either our Niv if it's been thrown away or our Hero. It can destroy an artifact or reanimated thing from Grease Fang, and 2 damage is never to be scuffed at. Valky and Tybalt for the Bring to Light synergy to cast Tybalt off that, always very solid. 2 of blue commands to rebuy our fetch lands abilities, also can take out a non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. I have run into a few people trying the sacrifice deck, the cat oven deck, so definitely having a way to just kill an oven is always pretty good in the main board. Calling Ritual, powerhouse card, particularly in low aggro formats like we're kind of in now. We have 2 Colossus' main board just for inevitability. Honestly, there's 2 Colossus because I'm struggling to find a different rule card I really want to run in the main deck, but we'll keep our eyes open and see. Right, moving on to our Justice Strikes here and Rip Apart. I'm tempted to replace this Rip Apart with a Solo Blaze, just as having another board wipe potentially in here. So this is, as I said before, the Justice Strikes are a response to the fact that Clarions don't kill Winotas. And with Grease Fang and Winota and the Parhelions, we need instant speed to kill any power creature, provided it's big enough. So yeah, very solid removal spell. I think it should be played a bit more. So the cards we're testing in these games was a Selesnya Charm, primarily for the reason that it's a combat trick, which is the most irrelevant part of it. I mean, I have had scenarios where I would offer up a hero and they might try to double block it and we can pump the creature. It's here because at the worst it's make a 2/2 with vigilance in an end step or in response to block out jump block. You'd be surprised how often a Winota player will swing in with their mana ducks if they're, if there's nothing up, they don't have the mana for Winota, they might play another 2-drop and then swing in with a mana duck, so it's always relevant. And the exile target creature with power 5 or greater is my answer to Parhelion, because I've been running into it a lot on Pioneer in the tournament practice, and then when I put these in, I never ran into it. Spoiler for the games to come. Next, I think we just have our standard stuff now. 4 Bring to Lights. Happy for the reprint. I just want fantasy art for these. I'm really hoping the Double Masters puts Niv in as the generic, 5-color mythic that they put in all these master sets. I know he doesn't need a reprint, but I really want fancy art to buy it, if I'm 100% honest. And then we're running 26 lands. I'm tempted to go down to 25, potentially for a couple of test games, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes indeed. So the sideboard. This has changed substantially. So, what we have is, we have vetoes. Hold on, let's put up the display window again. We have vetoes for counters, additional vanishing verse for removal, abrupt decay for uncounterable killing stuff, and voice of resurgence for the control matchup. Clarions for weenie / low to the ground aggro matchups. Unmoored Ego for the combo decks. Edgar as a recursable, hard to remove threat, very good in the Arena Explorer format. So if you don't have exile removal, for example, if you're against the mono black decks or the black, not black red, because they obviously have a braids as they bring him in, but it's basically a thing they have to kill twice, potentially even 3 times if they don't have exile. And finally, we have Keranos, God of Storms. Super good value card. So basically how this works is in the event we run into a control deck, we bring in all of this. In the fact we run into aggro deck, we bring in more removal. Basically, if we're running into an aggro deck, we bring in the Clarions, we take out the vetoes. Unmoored Egos go in for the combo decks. Keranos is a little tech that I use if you are running up against a black deck that you think or have seen has the Unmoored Ego effects. What I do is I swap out a single Niv for a Keranos, because if they Unmoored Ego out your Niv Mizzets, you need another 5-drop value engine to hit with, and you'll see in one of the games later, spoiler alert, if you get to a board state where you have both Clothis and Keranos out, basically that becomes either your scenarios basically become ramp and extra card draw, or 5 damage per turn potentially. So yeah, we'll get into some games. I'll do some casual commentary over them if I can remember how they went, but that's how I'm looking at the deck now. As I say, I'm already thinking of additional changes. My biggest change I think I would do is probably go down 1 land that I can't think of right now, and then bring in the Vanishing Verse. Probably I want a full playset. I feel like I've never not been happy with a Vanishing Verse in some capacity, and probably bring in Solar Blaze over this Ripbart just to have another removal swell going. But yes, so we'll jump to some casual games.